Wesa-K-Chak and the White Rabbit. It was many centuries ago on a small creek that one day would be known as Van Etten Creek, located in again what would one day be Oscoda in a great state called Michigan. In that far distant year, the colors of autumn had set the trees ablaze, but for the Indian people who lived on the small creek there was much suffering. The summer had been long and so very, very hot and dry. Barely a drop of rain had fallen, and throughout those months, and the creek was nearly dried up. Only a trickle of water now snaked along. And with the drought, the animals had left, seeking out a place where the waters still ran abundantly, and the people were very hungry, and many were very sick. There was a brave who had great compassion for the people of the creek, and his name was Wesa-K-Chak, and his heart was heavy over the condition of his family and his friends. Wesa-K-Chak longed to help those he loved so dearly. There was, away from the village, a special place where the shaman collected herbal and medicinal plants. It was a place always richly green, but now it was dry and brittle. The brave went there because it was there that he always had felt the closest to Gitchi-Manitou, the great creator spirit. And in the twilight he stole off to this special place and knelt with head bowed and prayed aloud but softly. Gitchi-Manitou, please hear my requests for my family and my friends, your children. I must do something to help them, for they are hungry and they are very sick. Please, Gitchi-Manitou, guide me. Show me where the animals are, that I can tell our hunters and save our people. Then, as was tradition, he opened a small buckskin pouch hanging from his side and withdrew a small amount of tobacco, and Wesa-K-Chak sprinkled it on the ground. And he said, "For you, great father, a small gift. I plead for your help." He then began a sojourn. He grabbed up his birch bark canoe and dragged it along the course of the creek followed to the great river, the mighty Osable, which itself ran very, very shallow. But he got into the canoe, and he paddled for many days and many nights. He watched closely, but saw not a trace of any animals, either great or small, and it seemed the dry woodlands were dead. Wesa-K-Chak became very tired from his long quest for food, and he stopped to rest. The air had been quite cold, and dark clouds hung heavy in the sky just to the west. And he thought that there would soon be snow. Wesa-K-Chak secured his canoe, and he built a lodge from branches and pine boughs. And as darkness closed in around the little lodge, he was protected from the chilled night air, and he fell asleep and woke in the morning well rested and refreshed. And as he looked out from his lodge, he was not really surprised to see that during the night it had snowed, and the ground was covered in a soft white blanket. Wesa-K-Chak was very happy. When he had laid down to rest, he had hoped it would snow. Now, if there were any animals around, he would be able to see their tracks, and he could trace them to their homes. So he went down to the river to get a drink of water, and his heart leapt with joy. There were deer tracks, for they too had come to the Osable for a drink of water. There were tracks from other animals too. So tramping through the fresh white snow so that he could see where the animals were living, he ventured. And he walked many, many miles, and the sun shining on the snow was very, very bright. But he did not mind at all, and he traveled on. But his efforts paid off, because by and by he found where the animals lived. "I found them," he shouted out loudly. "I have found where the animals are." And Wesa-K-Chak carefully surveyed the surroundings so that he would be able to tell his brothers where to find the animals. Well, he quickly headed back towards the Osable, tramping on, but the river was nowhere in sight. And he stopped in bewilderment. Not only could he not find the river, he could not even see the trees. And Wesa-K-Chak had become blinded by the dazzling white snow. Well, he felt panicked. How can I get home to tell my brothers in time to save the sick and dying if I cannot find my canoe? Then directly in front of him, he made out the form of a little brown animal. "Brother Rabbit, my heart is joyous to see you. I can't find the river or my canoe. My people are sick and dying, and I have to get back to them." The little brown rabbit's heart was heavy for the frightened brave, and he spoke to him. "I will get you there, Red Brother. Keep watching my brown fur against the white snow." And Wesa-K-Chak followed the little brown rabbit's dark body until he had been guided to the river and to his canoe. And he stepped into the canoe and turned to the little rabbit who had been his salvation. And he said, "My little brother, you have been very kind to me and to my people. To thank you, I've asked from my heart that Gitchimini to turn your brown fur as white as the snow, so that no one will be able to see you, or to see your body against the snow. And Wesa-K-Chak spoke the words, and the little rabbit turned pure white, so that he resembled a small fluffy snowball. And the brave smiled. Now your enemies will need to possess very keen eyes to see you, and you will give them many long chases through the winter wonderlands. And after that, Wesa-K-Chak returned home, and his family and friends were delighted to see him, for they had all mourned, thinking that he was dead. The village chief approached him, placing his hand on Wesa-K-Chak's shoulder. My brave son Wesa-K-Chak, we are filled with joy because we thought you had forever left us. And Wesa-K-Chak looked to his brothers and told them, Be happy, everyone. Gitchimini guided me to a new hunting ground. I became blinded by the snow, and I thought I would surely die there, but a little brown rabbit came to me and showed me to the way safely back to my canoe. And then he explained, Great Gitchimini turned the little rabbit white. He shall be our brother, and we must never hurt or hunt him. They thanked Gitchimini and made a vow to him that they would not ever hurt the little white rabbit. And when the hunters went to the new hunting ground, they remained faithful to their promise, and Gitchimini provided for them an abundance that saved the people of the little creek now known as Etten. I hope you've enjoyed this story. It was an old Native American tale that I rewrote. It had no actual location, so I told the story having taken place on Etten Creek in Oscoda, Michigan, because it is there that I discovered many years ago the remains of a late woodland Indian village, which I named Old Etten Creek, a name which has stuck. There are quite a few videos here on my channel if you would like to know more about Old Etten Creek and the artifacts that I found there.